Hello, today we're going to be looking at DNA fingerprinting analysis, and we will look at a murder mystery. We're going to try to solve who the murderer is. So one piece of information that we have is that Carl and Leslie are pizzeria owners. They have a kid, Johnny. They all work there. They have other workers, and there's a murder. So we're going to try to figure out who the murderer is based on the DNA samples collected from the scene. We created a gel electrophoresis system, and we're going to analyze it. First, we have our evidence right here. So in order for someone to be a potential suspect, we have to match them with the evidence. So first we have Johnny. He matches on the first segment of DNA, the third and fourth segments of DNA, and the last one. So Johnny could be a potential murderer. Then we have Carl. He matches on the first one, but the second one doesn't really match, so we can rule him out. Third, we have Leslie. She doesn't match on the first one, so she can be ruled out as well. Lastly, we have Tony. He matches on the first segment of DNA, the second, the third segment, and the last segment. So he could also be our murderer. I meant to put an X here to rule out Leslie. So we need to look at a second piece of evidence. So from this same DNA, we look at a second loci and we compare. We have our evidence right here. So Johnny doesn't match on the first one, so we can now rule him out on this loci. Then we look at Carl. He matches on the first one, the second one, the third one, and the fourth one. So he cannot be ruled out for this specific loci, but he's been already ruled out in our other DNA testing. Now, suspect 3, Leslie, doesn't match on the first one, so she can be immediately ruled out again. Lastly, look at Tony. He is a match on the first segment, the second, the third, and the fourth segment. So he is our potential killer. So now, comparing these two, we can see that Tony is in both of them. So we conclude that Tony is the murderer. And another thing we should look at is how consistent our DNA is, our DNA analysis with Carl and Leslie being parents of Johnny. So we look here, we know that Johnny has this segment of DNA matching with his father, and this one too. Therefore, the remaining two must match with his mother, which they do. Look at the second example, the second loci. We can see that, again, Johnny matches this with his father and this one. Therefore, the remaining two must match with his mother, which they do.